So, my Mountaineer fans, listen, I got a good one for you today. He is probably just as iconic as some of your favorite Mountaineer players. And when I got to WVU and I got a chance to meet this individual, man, what an electric guy. And it was great to befriend him. And still, all these years, we're still good friends. And that's none other than Ben White, the Mountaineer himself. So he's my special guest today on Relatively Sports with Eugene Napoleon. Let's bring him in. This is a pleasure beyond measure for many different reasons. This guy, as I told you, Mountaineer fans, you can't get no more honor that this young man played. This was my Mountaineer, Ben White. What's up, brother?
How you doing, Eugene, man? It's great to see you.
It's great to see you, man. How are you, brother?
Doing okay. Wish season was progressing a little bit better, but I'm still hanging in there like the rest of us and getting ready to head up this weekend for homecoming.
I know that's right. Well, look, you look well. You look well.
Well, considering what I've been through here lately, I appreciate that comment.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, you already know what I gotta ask this question because I'm sure a lot of the Mountaineer fans want to know what's the process of becoming the Mountaineer?
It starts out with an application process that you fill out. It's open to any one student, from freshman all the way to graduate students. And early spring, there's an application process. You fill out an application, and the committee made up of Mountain honorary members. They narrow it down to 2 folks through the application interview process. You fill the application out, 15 or 20 questions of why you'd like to be the Mountaineer, what activity you're involved in, things like that. Then they bring everyone in for a round robin interviews. And from those interviews, they select 2 folks to actually try out as the Mountaineer at one of the last basketball games.
Wow. Again, obviously, you and I became best buds during my years at WVU. And I can tell you right now, I still remember you helping me off with my pads at Syracuse. Remember that?
I do as well. There's a photo floating around somewhere someone took of that, and I'm trying to desperately find so I can get us both a copy of it.
Yeah, man. Like, those are they're special moments. It's almost like they're frozen in time. With you being the Mountaineer and being part of those historic years, especially that undefeated season, which was climatic for many reasons. Let me ask you a question, because you've seen them all. You've been to every freaking game that I can remember. Is there any 1 or 2 games that stick out in your mind while you were the Mountaineer?
I guess the Penn State game was awesome with Major Harris's busted play run. I get a kick out of him telling that story. He's like, man, I was just going to go out there and slide down on the outside. He said, I got out there and I made the guy miss, so I thought I'd try something else. That was a great game. The Pitt game, we tied that year, and it was a little frustrating, but I was standing right under the goalpost, and I caught the damn field goal as it came through the goalpost.
Wow.
So that's a memorable game, but not in a great sense. And then I think my favorite memory is from the Rutgers game. When I became the Mountaineer, they don't give you a lot of training on what you shouldn't do. They tell you to take this rifle and fire it or shoot it when exciting things happen.
Right.
Well, hell, we were up by 2 points, I think, against Rutgers last game of the season. And Mike Fox, you remember Mike, he had got hurt on a play and was taking a little time to get off the field. And they were 20-yard line or so, if my memory serves me correctly, and had a fifth-year senior field goal kicker, and he was coming out to kick the field goal to win the game. And I thought, there can't be any more excitement than shooting the musket when this guy misses the field goal and we get to go on to the Gator Bowl. So right when he got ready to kick it, I shot the gun about a second too early, I think, and he misses it. So, but it was exciting. I just think maybe I created some of that excitement with little premature firing of the musket. But hey, they just said fire it when it's exciting, and that was him missing that field goal was going to be exciting. And now what's so funny about that is I got called in the athletic director's office and had to write an apology letter to Rutgers University, and it was taboo. But now 30 years later, as we travel around on these golf tournaments and events, everybody seems to enjoy it as much as I did back in the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That had to be, so when you went home, obviously as the Mountaineer, how was that? Family, friends, I mean, were they just as excited as you were? You know, how cool was that?
It was pretty cool. I mean, it was, I had never experienced anything like that. I was just an average country bumpkin from little old Chapmanville, West Virginia, and wasn't exposed to a lot of the big things that went on at WVU. And being the Mountaineer, I mean, it carried with it a lot of notoriety and a lot of excitement when I came back. And it was really good. I mean, community was great about it. I mean, people that I hadn't even met before in my small town, I was able to meet and develop relationships and things, because it was back then, as a 20-year-old kid, you didn't realize, I'm going to use the word big deal, but it fantastic. I mean, just a lot of opportunities that would not have been there. A lot of businesses obviously wanted me to stop by and do things, and someone even printed a T-shirt with actually my mug on it. I don't know how that sold, but evidently it did.
That's pretty cool, man. Now, you listen, that is, for me, as big as it gets when, especially at a school like WVU, where everything that's connected to the athletic program is important. So I don't like to think that any role is more like, this is minuscule, this is big. No, it's all big, because you're part of the whole deal. That's the way I looked at it. And I've always respected every Mountaineer, but because you and I developed such a great relationship and rapport over all these years, and here's what's cool about it. All these years later, we're still good friends. And that kind of goes to show you the bond that you have with, when you go to a big time school, you know, sometimes you don't get the luxury of meeting any and everybody, but when you do and you can bond with human beings, man, 30 some odd years later, that's when you know that was the real deal. Talk up just a little louder, Ben.
I said it. You're exactly right. I mean, you really accepted me and brought me into the football program, and now 30 some years later, I mean, I think 33 years,
Yeah.
the guys that was in your class, I mean, I'm pretty close with a lot of them, especially you, your family, your son Brandon and Naya. I have developed relationships there, and it means a lot. And there were, so I think when we were in school up there were 25,000 students. And it's just amazing, the relationship and how deep it runs from two folks that were from different spectrums in the country.
I appreciate that, because I think it's important. And once again, it just goes to show you how really important sports plays a role in that. I always said that sports is a microcosm of life, and it really is, because like you just stated, I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey. So you're from the southern part of the state, correct?
Correct, yes.
And we at WVU, and in all we're still close, man. Sports did that, you know. Sports did that, so I think it's a real cool thing, and I'm hoping and praying that most of our student athletes really get a chance to do exactly that. You get to meet people from different walks of life, and you build those relationships. So years later, that speaks for itself. You know what I mean? It goes to show the character not only of the person, but the character of the program.
Oh, it really does. And when you brought out your first book and sent me that copy, it meant a lot to me and my son. He was playing football at the time, and I think him reading your book and going through those things and experiences in the book really helped him. And all
Wow.
that is attributed to our relationship way back in 1988 and 89.
Those were the years, buddy. Now, I know this is a sore topic for the both of us. The current state of where we are now in our program, and who best to speak to this but you, to see it from where it was back then to where it is now. And I know times have changed and all of this good stuff, but I read a few comments online, and people are saying, well, for some of the older players like myself, I think we're not the program that we used to be. I don't know, Ben. I don't know if I could accept that, because I think once you build to a certain standard, then you continue to progress. You don't go backwards, in my opinion. What do you think about where we are now as a program from where we came from, for what you know West Virginia to be?
Gene, that's really tough. Obviously, the 88, 89, those years were pretty fantastic. I mean, we had a great bunch of men under Coach Don Needham, and he really developed their players, our team, to be something special. And I think the coaching staff now, a lot of those same philosophies. I mean, great character builders, great folks in charge of their student athletes, but something's missing. I don't know what it is. I mean, being in the stadium back then, before I was the Mountaineer and as the Mountaineer, things were electric. I mean, things were pretty exciting. Right now up there, that spark or excitement, for some reason, I think, to me, a lot of it comes to do with these folks on these message boards and things that keep throwing so much negativity out there, and people don't realize what that does to the kids. And I call them kids. They're not kids, they're young men, but when you keep reading, and this is my opinion, you keep reading these things about negativity, you start to maybe almost accept a little bit of that, because people don't realize these are young men, kids. And I don't mean that in the bad way when I say kids, but these are 18, 19-year-olds that are away from home. They've got a lot of responsibility with school, a lot of work with school, and a lot of expectations to provide a great product, a winning product. And we all as fans want that, and players and former athletic type folks want greatness, and great expectations are expected, and just a lot of pressure on these kids, these young men. And with all this negativity that you see on these message boards, I just think that takes away a lot of the luster and a lot of the things that need to go on and resonate with the players on the team, the student athletes. And I just wish people would understand that and quit creating negativity and things that just take away from the hard work and the efforts that the coaching staff and the players are giving us up there. I mean, it's not easy. And these people that sit back and make these atrocious comments, and I mean, I'm sure you've read some of the things, you know what I'm talking about without pointing it out or being specific, but we all want the same thing. We want great programs. We want to win. We want to be a winner, and we want to be competitive. And to me, it really seems like when you're throwing this negativity out there, coming from people that typically don't have a clue, hasn't been involved in the program, and they're saying these mean, hurtful things, it's someone's kid out there you're saying this about, someone's parent, someone's husband, someone's wife, that you're saying negative things about, nasty things. And I just think it it really defeats the purpose and does have an impact on the overall product and the outcome of the game and the season. I hope that makes sense. I mean,
That makes perfect sense. I
it
mean,
didn't.
that's why I try to stay away. Look, when I talk about our program and people ask me questions about the coaching staff or whatever the case may be, I try to leave the student athletes out of it for a simple reason. I know what it was like as a former player
Right.
to bust your behind. It's not easy to win at this level.
No, it's not.
Howsoever, the flip side of that coin is fans expect what they expect because, unfortunately, unlike Coach Nealon's era, you start to see the kind of money that these coaches are making. And they feel like, wait a minute, if this guy's making X amount of dollars, and we know our student athletes are working really hard, busting their tail to be the best version of what we expect them to be, whatever that is, you got to put out a good product. So I get it. I understand it from that angle. I will never, and you will never hear me speak ill of a student athlete because I was on that side of the coin, and I understand how difficult it is. Where a fan may not understand the pressure that Coach Brown and the rest of that staff is under to compete at a level in which maybe he is or maybe he's not ready for this particular level of consistency, where you have to prepare a team to win week in and week out in a conference where it's a dog eat dog conference right now. So when you look at the product and the product is not meeting the expectations because they look as though they're not prepared week in and week out, you see the other side of it. Yeah, the fans get real frustrated. What I feel bad about, and you're 100% correct, I feel bad about reading the comments about the players because the players are doing exactly what they're coached to do. They're being put in a spot where each week you got a game plan. They're expecting you to follow that game plan. You get out there and have an MA, a blown assignment, missed assignment, whatever the case may be, and you got to hear the negativity of everybody coming down on you because you dropped the ball or fumbled the ball or missed an interception or missed a block, quarterback threw a pick or whatever. That happens. It happens. But I will never come down on a student athlete for him doing the very best that he can with the position that he's put in. That's off limits to me. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I just think that it just sort of like a big ball rolling down a hill. It just gets bigger and bigger the more hateful things people say and the ridiculous comments. I mean, I can't imagine anybody going out there not wanting to win, not wanting to compete. And for people to say the things they say is just, I can't understand it, Eugene, for the life. I mean, I guess I'm more passionate like you would be because I consider myself a part of the program.
Absolutely.
And it really is so frustrating to understand the impacts that people's comments and things do to these kids. And it's unfortunate because their fan base is one of the best fan bases out there. We have great fans, but you have that few that just are so dadgum negative, and it just no place for that. And I hope people can move on, get it behind them, and start supporting our team as a whole.
Right.
Once that happens, I think we will be better, more competitive, and do the things that the fans expect the team to do. But it takes all of us.
It takes, and I agree, it takes 100% all of us. And I'm going to tell you right now, for me in this house, we bleed gold and blue. In this house, so it doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. I'm a Mountaineer for life. So everybody knows that about me. Wherever I go, there's going to be something on me that's gold and blue. That's just what it is. And it's so hilarious. When I visit other campuses, I'm always sporting the flying WV. So, people are like, wow, man, really? I don't know if I'm on Rutgers campus, if I'm at my son's game up there, the Sacred Heart, I'm wearing the flying WV. So take it as what it is. That's how proud I am to be a Mountaineer. Do you ever get a chance to go back and talk to some of the current Mountaineers? over the last few years?
I see Mary quite a bit this year, and at the games. I've been fortunate. I've been to every game this year. Well, with the exception of the 2 games out in Texas, they're just hard to get to. But all the home games and the Pitt game in Virginia Tech I was at, and I was able to catch up with Mary, the Mountaineer, this year, and talk with her and encourage her. And in fact, we have a Mountaineer reunion this weekend or week up at WVU. So all the Mountaineers, I think 25 of us will be there at some different events, and pretty nice to do that. And there are a handful, just like I'm sure with you and the players. You don't have a chance to interact with all of them every week, but there's a few of us that do make a point to call each other each week and talk, and in the mornings, a little group chats and things like that. So yes, absolutely. It's a great positive thing to stay in touch with those folks and welcome the new folks in, and try to give some encouragement and a list of things to do and what not to do. And I guess shooting the damn rifle when the guy's kicking the field goal is.
Listen, I don't want to stir up no problems. I don't want nobody to have to go, to the AD's office or the president's office. But let me tell you something. If it comes down to that, at homecoming against TCU, you pull out your musket too and shoot that baby.
Yeah, I'm not above going down there and taking the musket and shooting it right when I need to. So, hey, somebody have to watch me pretty closely. I do need supervision, Eugene.
Listen, I have about a minute left, man. Do me a favor. Tell me one of the most important, I guess, one of the most important lessons you learned during your time as the Mountaineer. If you can have a singular one, I know that's hard. What was one of the biggest lessons you learned as being a Mountaineer?
I guess the takeaway would be you have to be aware of where you are, what you're doing, because there's so many eyes. And that leads me to this. I really am fortunate and glad that I was not the Mountaineer with all this social media stuff going on, these cameras everywhere. Because you are, as a young person, just like student athletes, I mean, you're 18, 19, maybe 20 at some point, but you're still, there's a lot of stuff that you haven't been exposed to at that age on the stage and the level that we were at WVU. And I was in the military. I was fortunate. So I got to do a lot of big boy things before I got into college, but still running around with 40, 50, 60,000 people as an icon, student athlete, people that recognize you. Hey, come here and do this, take a picture, do this, do that. Just a lot of exposure to a lot of things that put you in situations that you could very easily make the wrong choice, the wrong decision. And I'm talking about small things like a video appeared a few years ago of someone using the musket to shoot a bear. And things like that, just you didn't hear of back before social media. And social media is good for exposure. However, I just think that I'll leave it. I'm glad that that wasn't around when I was the Mountaineer. Running through the blue lot. So being aware of who you are and where you are at all times is just really, really important. And fortunately, I guess the worst thing I did was win a football game, but if you're going to fault me for that, bring it on, brother.
Ben, I appreciate you, man. Listen, you have a great time at that TCU game, brother, and let the other Mountaineers know that I appreciate them, I respect them, and again, I really like what they do and what they stand for, and that's the reason why I love and respect you, brother. And thank you for being my friend for all these years, and thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate you, Ben.
I appreciate you. And let Nia, we really enjoy that 304 video and song. A lot of times when we're down, we'll put that thing on, and it's a great video and a great song. So tell her we appreciate her and what she does for the Mountaineer community.
Listen, I definitely will. Thank you, brother. I'll be in touch with you soon. I'll talk to you.
All right. You got to get to Morgantown one day soon now.
Oh, absolutely. You already know. You know how we're going to end this thing, right? Let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go Mountaineers.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon.
All right. Love you, man. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Later. What did I tell you, fans? What did I tell you? My guy Ben is something else, man. We had some great times, great memories during our time in Morgantown together. He's a great dude. And after all these years, 33, I think, plus years, we're still as tight as we were back then. And that goes to show you, again, the bond between sports, athletics, and when you meet people and you can bond with them on a common ground. What a great guy. I hope you guys and young ladies and all the fans enjoyed Ben White. And like I said, the Mountaineer himself, what a great guy. I'll see you soon. I'll be back next week with another special guest. Let's go, Mountaineers.